where I stopped with Clinton because we've gone a bit far from where we were before. Not very far, but just a bit far. Then what you're going to do is for the other classes you missed, it's going to be a physical class where you're going to come in tomorrow. So I'll take tomorrow to put you through all the classes. It's going to be definitely more than an hour class. It might be 2 hours class or 3 hour class or until we are done. I'm just going to give you finishing touches on them from where you were to this point that we are so that we can continue our normal classes on Wednesday. That's how the classes are going to be. So I can't hear you.
Are you going to send the videos?
I said you're going to be here tomorrow. Tomorrow
Okay.
from 12 to whenever. And then probably also send you the videos of other classes. But you're going to have a physical
Okay.
class with me tomorrow by 12, and then we'll run it through to the end of whatever we have done so that you'll be able to meet up. By Wednesday, you'll be well caught up and you'll see what you've missed. So the videos are for you to still go back and check whatever you want to check. So far we've been talking about different things. So what we have for today, let me create today's classes. Okay, this is already day 3, so this should be week 5. It should be the 5th week 5, and then I'm going to have day 1, and I'm going to have day 2. Fuck up. I don't go fuck up. Alright, I made a mistake here. I have to rename this to day 2. Day 2. Delete this. Delete week 5. Day 2. Okay, so in our day 1, I'm going to have another folder, classwork. So today we're going to be learning what we call CSS positioning. So classwork index.html, and then index.css, new file, index.css. Okay, there's no need to even create all this because I already have a running class. So I would copy. Let me copy this command. I already have a running class. So command is C. I'll paste it here. Command V, and then go back to index.css here. Command A, C, then go back to index.css here and paste it. Then the images, copy and then paste it in this folder V. So this is what we have now. I'll clear this and the 3 folder. Alright, so today we have what we call CSS positioning. CSS positioning is just basically like telling a CSS object or an object on our web page where to stay or how to stay. For example, if you go to we are building out this website, This is the website we've been building now for a couple of days. We've talked about how to set the nav bar, like our own here. This is the nav bar. This is what ours look like, and then we are going to set other things. So for today, we'll be talking about CSS positioning. Because this thing, if you notice as you are scrolling, this top thing here is not moving with it, and we're able to achieve that by giving it a position of fixed. There are different types of CSS positions, and they include the relative position, which is the default way objects are arranged in our web browser, or rather in our web page, right? Just when you write one thing here, the next thing comes under it. There's nothing that comes on top of it or by this right. It just follows the normal order. That's what relative does. It's just there. While fixed is something like this. Fixed position is something like this. It's static, it's not moving. It's just there. Other things will be moving under it and it will just be there. That's what fixed is. So you fix it where you want. This thing can be fixed in the middle, it can be fixed by the side, it can be fixed at the bottom, because this bottom now, this bottom here, what are you doing? This bottom here is also fixed. This green stuff, it's also fixed. If you go down to the very down place, you see that it's fixed. Do you get me? So these are like some of the this thing that we're going to be using. We have basically fixed, absolute, and relative and static. So we have relative, fixed, absolute, sticky, and static positions. But for this class, we'll just be dealing with, a fixed, absolute, and static is just the same thing with relative. The normal way a website or a web page, the normal way contents are arranged inside of a web page. So let's go and get started with our styling. So far we've been able to achieve this. Let me go back to this point. And now I added some new things. 85% position of fixed, and okay, let me get this out and start all over again. Alright, so this is what we have so far. So to be able to build out this thing, to be able to build out this stuff we have here, we already talked about display flex, which is a way of arranging content as well. Display flex and CSS positioning are two different properties that do two different things. To be able to achieve this, we used display flex to be able to arrange these children this way. But proper positioning is about fixing it exactly where you want it to be. So that is for that one. So let's go out and build this thing together. Before we do that, we are going to have these images inside of our local device so that we'll have access to them. So to do that, you right click on the image and then save image as, it says group header, which is not very descriptive. So probably I'm going to say cards, like ATM cards, like we're seeing there. ATM cards, because they have ATM cards there. There's ATM cards around here. Then this one is not an image. This thing is an image, but it's an SVG image. So to be able to get this thing, there's something I've introduced in our previous class that we were not in. That thing is called SVG export. So it's an extension to Chrome. It's not like just related to coding now. It's when you want to get pictures online that you can't save just the way I've saved this one. Because if you notice here now, you see that I can move this. It's a movable picture. This is a picture, but it's moving. Yes. But in this case, if I move it, you see that it's a link, but it's in picture form. So to be able to get this picture, you use an extension called SVG link. So if I open this SVG link now, you're going to see all the pictures that are SVG is going to be here. So all I can do is just download it. I'll say this and then change the name to the one I clicked on is Android. So I'll select Android. I'll change the name to Android. Download it. It's now in my downloads. Then, okay, this is actually Apple, not Android.
Apple.
It's Apple. This is actually the this thing.
Android.
Yes, but we'll use it either ways. So I can do this and change it to Google. This one has Google, and then I will download it. It's been downloaded. So far we've downloaded this and this because we've used it in our web page. Any other place, okay, I think we need this as well. We've not downloaded it. We'll download this and say arrow down or green arrow. Green arrow. Okay, so once you download that, it's good to go. We have that. So now to be able to have access to it in our VS Code, I'll move it from my downloads because currently it's in my downloads. Look at them here: green arrow, Google SVG. These are SVG forms. These are SVG forms. This is the only one that has an extension of PNG. So PNG is the picture that I could easily save. This one is in PNG, but others that I downloaded are in SVG form. So SVG pictures are types of pictures that are links. Sorry? Can you hear me? Yes, the extension it comes with is .svg, while the pictures that I downloaded straightforward has an extension of .png. Do you get? So these are the differences that they have. So with PNG, you can save it directly. You don't need to go through that extension. But for .svg, you have to save it. In some cases, not all, but in most cases, it comes as a link, not as an image. So you use that extension to save it. So I'll go ahead and move this. I'll copy this for Command C, and then I'll go and paste it inside the folder I need it in, and that folder is going to be that I created. Okay, it's going to be inside of my image folder. All right. So when I go back to my folder and images, we'll find it there. It's already there. So that is it. Listen, I'm repeating it twice. Let me go live. That's the problem. Okay, this is index.css. I'll stop this and then go again. Alright, so this is what we have. This is opening in OP. I don't want this link to be here. I need to open this in a separate browser. Okay. There's a big jump out. And then new tab. opweb.com. Then I move it to this point. Alright, so let's get started. So this is what we have in our HTML. This is our header and our section 1. So in my section 1 I have H2. I'm supposed to have two tabs, um two divs. So I'm going to say dot left content. Left content is going to be the container carrying this, the container that is carrying this. Just like now, let me use draw.io to explain how this structure I'm bringing out is going to look like. Okay. So let me go to draw.io. Or do I already have one here? Okay, I already have one here. So let's use this now. Let me get rid of this. Let me delete this and move this way. This is the OP structure already that we're working on.
Yes.
So this is the nav bar, the header, and the navigation. Then this one is this div I just created. This is the section 1 div, this very big one. And then this is the left content. This one is a container carrying the left content, and then this one will be the right content. So in here,
The left content.
yes, this is the left, and this one is the right
It's the
content.
right.
And then here I'm going to have what is called, this is the first box, this is another box, and this one is another box. So I have 3 boxes. So I'm going to get this. I'm going to put it this way, and then take it this way, and then put it this way. Then I'll get another box that is a lot bigger this time around, and then I'll put it this way for it to contain those texts in the paragraph form. This text, and then the last one is going to be this. So I'm going to get another one and put it here, and then here. So this is basically explaining to us what the structure of OP will look like. Then I'll move it here. This is the Google, and if I duplicate this, I'll have Apple. So this is basically this left part that we've been able to bring out a structure, and in here just goes image. That's just it. Use an image here. So this is the structure of structural representation or the blueprint of this part of OP website. So let's go and bring this thing into life. I'll come in here, take this H2 out of here, and I'll place it inside here. I'm going to create another one called dot right content, right content, or I'm just going to say image, because that it's an image, so that is how it's going to be. So image carrier, I hope I know used that before, or image wrapper instead. Trying to decide on a name that will be better. And in here I'm going to have img to add the image is, what's the name of the image again, at ATM card. So I'm going to have image ATM cards and s. This is going to be descriptive in case we add this alternate here, will tell us what this image is doing if this source does not show. Like if the image does not show, probably due to network, if we're getting it online, if we deleted it from our If you just it's just not available because of any reason, this alternate will tell us that this place is supposed to contain ATM cards. Yes, so this is how it's going to look like. So if we go back to our browser now, this is what we have. It's already there. See how big it is. So first of all,
Yes.
I'm going to put this thing, make it smaller because it's really very big. To be able to do that, we'll use this container, the image wrapper, to bring the size down. So I'm going to say dot section 1
That's fine.
and dot image wrapper,
Wrapper.
and then I'm going to give it a width. If you look at this web browser here, this thing is taking its own width and this one is taking its own width, but totally they are taking something like 100% of the container or something, like not really necessarily there's space and there's space here. So I'm going to give it a width of probably 35%. So I'll say width of 35% because there are other things there. I might increase it later. So if I go back, I'm going to now say image wrapper or IMG.
IMG.
Yes, give the IMG width. The IMG is the image itself, the width 100%. The carrier has 35%, so the image inside of this image wrapper is taking 100% of its parent. So if I go back and I relate, you see it's smaller. So another thing I want to do is, where is that word? I'm going to copy this. I don't have time to write it, so I'm just going to copy this, see, and then put it inside of our own paragraph tag. After this H2, I'm going to have a paragraph tag, and then I'm going to place it inside. And this is what we have. And then the next one is, it's fully licensed by CBN, and this is an image. This is an image, and I'll save it as CBN. Save. This one I believe is also an image, and I'll save it as NDIC. Yes, I'll save it there. So I'm going to come back to this point, to my download, and I'm going to, where are they? Where are my downloads? Okay, oh wow, this is one image. This is just an entire image. Oh, I saved it 2 times. Okay, let me see now. CBN. This is just one image, and I can't find it anywhere. Let me save it again and come back here, because open this in this browser, because I don't have strength for this now. Save image as CB. Wait. Before I do this again, I think this image is already in my documents. Let me see to be sure. Okay, I don't have any CBN here. Alright. Let me go and save it again. It's already here. So where is this? Favicon. Where is this? Where is this thing? I already have CBN here. So it's going to save again. Go back. Let me go back to my day 4 and see if it's saving here. Okay, it's saved here. I'm going to move this to bin. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to copy it and take it back to Week 5. And then paste icon. I've pasted N there. So I'm going to add it now using a paragraph tag or even an image. I'm going to use, this one is going to be an image holder. I'm not going to use image wrapper because the width of this one and this one will not be the same. This one is way smaller than this one. So if I want to handle this image, I might want to give it a different width, a different size. So I'm just going to give the two images two different containers. So this one is going to be image holder and this will be image wrapper. Do you get me?
Yes.
So I'm going to have img and I'm going to say the source would be images, and I'm going to have NDIC, and here I'm just going to have NDIC image. This is supposed to be a small letter. NDIC image. Alright. Good morning. Okay, so from here, if we go back to our browser, this is what we have. This is how big it is. So to be able to handle this now, I have to remove it and reduce it rather. And I'll go to section 1. I'm just going to take this and replicate it. Command C and V. And I'll say image holder. And then when we go back, you see how it's 35%. It actually works and it's looking relatively okay. So now the next thing to do is here, this thing is wrapped inside. In this OP, this thing is, the width is not does not fill the entire container. So it starts from here, around here. So to do that, I'm going to wrap this entire thing, this content and this image. I'm going to wrap it in another div. The reason I'm going to do that is because this one has a background color. This thing has a background color that goes from left to right. So if I give this width to this one, to this section 1, this background color will start from here. It will start from here. So to be able to do that, because this one, the color moves from here to here. So I have to find another div that I will use to give it a smaller width inside of the main container. So I would come down here and say container. Dot container. This container does not refer to this one. This one is different. Okay, let me use another name because this might be confusing you guys. Section 1 child. Section 1 child. Right? Let's put it that way. And then when I go back, I'm going to say dot section 1, then dot section 1 child. Section 1 child. Yes, because it's just one child that I'm adding there. So I'll say command V. Oh, geez, what did I do? I'll say the width is going to be width is going to be
30%.
It's not going to be 38%, it will be around 80% because this is a width from here to here. So we are just taking away small thing from here. So if you give it 38%, it's going to be very small and it won't contain this. So I'm going to give it a margin of 10 pixel auto, 10 pixel up and down, and then do you see it's now here, it's now giving this, but it's like it's a bit too small, so I'll say 90%, a bit too big, 85%. All right, so it's now aligning with this, just like this one is. So the next thing, that is, okay, let me add padding because it has a padding top of 40 pixels and left and right of probably 3 pixels. And then this is what we have. Padding top sharp. Wow. Alright. I'm supposed to give this margin. Why is this thing pushing down again? Alright. Okay. So let's now get to the main gist of the day. How do we move this to this part? That's what we are saying now. How am I going to move this from this point that it is to this point? So to do that, we are going to add a property called display flex, and the display flex will be added to this second child, because this second child now is the one that is carrying the contents. It's carrying this left content and the image, so you add it to the parents carrying the two children. Yes, so I'm going to add a display flex, and then see what we have. I'm going to say justify content of space around. Well, let me leave this one for now. Let me leave this justify content. So to be able to fix this one is taking a width of 35 and it's way too small. So this is where I'm now going to like work on it and fix it. The content carrying this is just 35%. That is why this one is taking up to 65% more. So let me increase it. Alright, so I'm going to say, which one is this image holder? Is not confusing my life. Which one is the one carrying that? Okay, image wrapper. So let's go back. Image wrapper, I would say I want you to be 48%. And then I want this left content. Let me take this and keep it. I want this to be left content. Okay, so this is what we have. Did you notice anything? I now gave this one a width of 48% and this one a width of 48%, and then they are now sharing equal widths now. So I'm going to bring this thing down. To be able to do that, what I have to do is go back to this parent. The parent that is carrying it is this section 1 child, like this one. This is the parent carrying this 2. So I'm going to say, please, I want you to align your children in the center. We use a display property called align items. You align them in the center. So I'm going to give this an align item of center. It is going to align the two. Is it align content? Align, not align self. Align items of center. It has brought it to the middle. See how it is. Align items will bring it to the middle. Then another thing is this one is way bigger, and then we've not added this image. Let me see if I can save this. Okay, this is also another one. Let me go to this point and go to this SVG export and download another image. Where is that? So that image is not an image here. Okay,
You can save it.
no, it's not there. Let me see if I can save it from here. It's an image, so let me save. Okay, save image as. This is, it's called a vector. So I'll just go back to my document so that I can be saving to this one directly. So I'm going through the rigors of copying and pasting. Let me just tell it kindly save here. So this is where it's now going to save vector. So I'm going to increase this one, and that is what we call span 1. This span 1 is navy blue. Both of them are H2, but this is navy blue and this is green. So I'm going to say the H2 instead. Section 1 H2. And I'm going to give it a font size of about 30 pixels. And if we go back to our own, it's still very small. Okay, it's bigger now. It's bigger. I'm going to increase this. This thing is way too small. So I'll increase this image holder to probably 45%. Let me see how it is. Still really smaller. 80%. Okay. 80% is relatively okay. Alright, so this is what we have. So if I go back here, go back to this point, you're going to see that there is enough space. There is enough space from this point to like above this paragraph and below the paragraph. So I'm going to give this paragraph here the p tag. This second child C p tag v p tag, and I'm going to give it a margin or a zip padding. A margin of top and bottom is going to be 35 pixels, and left and right is going to be 0 pixels. So if I go back here, this is what we have. You see that there's now space here and here. So that's how I've been able to achieve it. So the next thing we're going to add is this image. This image of these Google images. I'll still add the vector soon, but let me add these Google images. I'll go back here and have another, this is the left content. I'd have another image folder, Command C, and in this case I'm going to have this, and I'm going to add 2 images, img, and then I'm going to have images. I'm going to have Google, right? Google SVG. This one X, and I'm going to paste it back. I'm going to add here Google image, and here I'm going to have Android SVG, and I'm going to have Android. Is that Android? Okay, I saved it as Android. Let's use it like that. Android. USB. Alright. Android. What's this word? Alright, this might not show. This is how SVG images look like. They look like texts. That's why you can't download them like that. You have to use an SVG extension. This is how they look like. But regular images, like for example this PNG, will just show you the image itself, while the SVG will show you a file like this. So those are the difference between the SVG file and the PNG file, in case you see it somewhere else. So if I go back to this point, we are going to see this. You see how big it is. So the next thing now is, how are we going to handle it? How are we going to fix these images? So I'll go back to this image holder. The reason why it is like this is because this image holder now has 48%. If I go back to this image holder here and give this to be 18%, to see how small it's going to be. Do you see how small this thing is now? But this thing I'm doing is so it's not even supposed to. Okay, this is left content. I give it to image holder. I name this one. Let me say I give it 20%. You see how small it is, but that's not what I want. So I'm going to give it another name, and I'll leave this one. This image holder, this 80% is for this one. So I'll just leave it, and I'll give this one another image name, and it's going to be image container or carrier, right? And then when I go back, I'm going to say this section child. Do I copy this? No. Same. And then I'm going to say the section child, and I'm going to say image dot image carrier. I'm going to give it that same width, or okay, let me see how it is now. Okay, it's big like this. I'll just give it a width of 60%. Let me go back to this point and see how it looks.
40%.
No, understand what I'm saying. The container that is handling these two images is what I named as image carrier, right? So this, and from this point to this point now, I'm telling it to take 60% of this parent container, this container here. Yes, so 60% of the parent container. Just like, let me go back to that draw.io that I used to give you structure of something. Cancel. Draw.io. This container now, this one carrying these two images, this one is the image carrier, this one is what I named image carrier. Do you get me? And it's taking 60%.
60%.
Let me reduce this. It's taking 60% of this parent. This one now is the left content. This one is the left content, the one we named left content, but you can't see it because we did not give it a border. So if you want to see it, let me go to this left content here that we have. Let me give it a border of 2 pixels solid #000. This is black hexa. Let's see now for black border. It's not really right. Border solid left content. Okay, can you see it now? This is that box. So if I want to like bring out all of these things that I've written out in boxes just like this, I'll just give them their borders and you'll be able to see. Let's replicate this. See this image holder that I gave 80%, this one, this paragraph, the image carrier itself, and then the H2. I know there's a H2, section 1 H2. Okay, so if you go back, you see that these are like boxes now. And did I give this section 1 now? Let me get rid of this section child. I don't need this. Okay. You see that, let me give this a padding so that you'll be able to understand left content. Let me give this a padding of 10 pixels. I'm going to get rid of all of these things. You see how it's looking now? This is the first paragraph. This is the H2 that we have here. This one. This other one is the paragraph that we have here. This one is the slim one. Okay, I didn't add this one here. But this other one, this container carrying this two is this one of 60 pixels. So to be able to lie this thing side by side, I'll give this parent container a property called display of flex. Then it will now make it lie side by side. Is that clear?
Yes.
Alright, let's go back and get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this, and I'll get rid of this and this. So everything should be back to normal. Where did I miss something? And yes, I missed something. Okay, I've seen it. Alright, here I need to do this, and then we are fine, good to go. Okay, so this is what I have. So this 60%, I'm going to say this image gives this a display of flex. This is how it is now. And then I want this to take, let me increase this a bit, probably 70%, because 60% is a bit too small. Then I'll say, let me go back and give it a border so that I'll see what I'm doing. Yeah, I want to give it a border so that I can see what I'm doing. Border solid black. Okay, so this is what I'm doing now. Okay, so I'm going to give it a justify content of space between, but it will not really change because I did not give this one its own parent and this one its own parent. So to be able to achieve that, I'll have to give this image its own parent. Okay, so I'm going to say div. I'll move this up. I'll replicate this div, and then I'll move this up. Select. So to be able to select this div, because I did not give it a class name, I'll use this image carrier to select it, because if I just say div, it's going to select all of the divs inside of this web page, and that's not what I want. I just want it to select this particular div. So I will make sure to name this image carrier first before I add this div. To be able to select it, this is what I'm going to show you. I'll say it's inside of this. Okay, it's already here. I'll copy this, zoom. I'll copy this, Command C, and then V, and close this, and I'll say div. So if you go and hover on this, you're going to see it says find an element with the class name of section 1. Inside of it, you see another class name named section 1 child. Inside of it, you see an image carrier before you see the div. So this div is restricted to just this image carrier, section child and section 1. It does not concern any other div that is outside of this section 1 child and the image carrier. So I've restricted this div to just this. So that's a way to like select a select by type. So because this is a type selector, select by type. Instead of just selecting the name, you select the part, and that part will only lead to that type, to that particular element you want to use. So I'm going to give this a width of 48%, because they are taking 20 to 50-50. So you see that it has shifted. If I reduce this now and make it probably 38%, you see it has shifted now. And to justify content, space between is saying space between is I want the space between you guys to be big. So you go to the extreme end and you go to the extreme end. Alright, so that is it for that. I'll get rid of this border because I don't really need it anymore. And this is a bit too wide, so I'm going to have to reduce it a bit and say this is going to be 45%, and it's going to be, this one is going to be 60, probably 65%. Let me go back and see what it looks like. Okay, say 30, that 38 is fine, and then here I'm going to give it 60%. So here I'm going to say margin top of 20 pixels. The reason I'm giving it a margin top is this has space. Okay, let me give it to this one instead. This has space here and here. There's a space from this fully silenced whatever. There's a space between them. So if I go back here, I will increase it to margin top of 30 pixels, and that should be it. This one is a bit too small, so I give this the div is too small. I give it 48, and then when I go back here, okay, it looks better now. So this is what we have so far. So today I said we're going to be talking about, we've been able to finish this, and then the next one we're going to be doing is adding this. So but before we get there, we can, okay, I've not added this one yet. Let me add it immediately. What time is it? 11:57. I'm going to extend this class a bit to around 1:30 so that we can cover a little bit more, because we've not been able to go very far. So if you notice, when you scroll up, okay, I wanted to put an image first. Let's go get that image. The image is directly under this, and is inside of my h2, after my h2. So I'm going to say dot image, and I'm going to say image img and image folder, and I have vector. Okay, so I'm going to select the vector. When I go back to my browser, it's cutting across the entire thing, but in this at this point it's just cutting across this one. So we're going to reduce this. So this is the image folder. So I'm going to say left content C. I'm going to say this, put it this way, dot image is inside the left content. So I'm going to give it a width of 60 or 50%. Let me see how it is first. A width of 50%, that's good. And I'm going to move this stuff to the right. There's a property I want to try out known as float right. Float to move it to the right, basically, right? You have float right, float left. So float just moved this image to the right, instead of us trying to use margin to push it. Do you get me? Instead of trying to use margin to push it, I just added a property called float, and it floated it to the right. Let me see if there is something. Okay, it's actually like a bit smaller than that. So let me see, width of 45%, give it a margin of 0 pixel up and down and auto. Let me see how it's going to look like. Okay, still it's still at that point, so this thing did not really do anything. Alright. Seems that this H2 has a margin bottom. H2 does it have a margin bottom? Okay, no it doesn't. So let's use this one for now. Let's use this for now. Alright. Let me give it a margin bottom. Alright. So the next thing is, let me go to what we actually have for today because we are almost, like, time is almost up. So we have CSS positioning, where you can use it to fix objects or elements inside of a web page to however you want it. There is relative, there is static, there is fixed, there is sticky, and there is absolute. So we'll start with relative is basically how everything appears here. Relative and static, just when you write whatever you write in, it just aligns itself after each other. Like when you write this, you have this image, you have this opaque, aligning itself automatically, how your web browser looks when you just align things without using positions to fix them. That is what relative and static is all about. But for fixed, fixed is something like this. As you keep moving, things are moving in the web page, but there are some things that don't move, like this nav bar. This was actually using a fixed position. So if we want to add that to our own, we have to go back here. If you scroll, let me add an item on that, so that, let me replicate this div so that you can see something. Command C and Command V. So this thing is now in two places. This thing is in two places. It seems like this section has a margin top. Let me see. Inspect. Our section seems to have a margin top. This is giving it the margin top. Okay. Okay, section 1. Ah, no. Okay, okay, now I see. It has a margin top and bottom. Okay, so let me go back to, where is that point? 108. I just figured out something that's giving me a little bit of an issue. I'll take this as 1%. Okay, so I'm trying to fix the space here. That's why I got rid of this stuff I did here. I'm trying to fix the space here. I even give it 0 pixels because I don't need that space at all. Okay, so this is what we have. But if we move, our nav bar moves with us, right? Because there's no position specified. It's just in the static position that it is in. It's in the relative position. There is no particular property that's been given to it, position property. So to be able to do that, we'll go to our header. Our header is this point. This is the header, right? You guys are still here, right? So we'll go to the header, and I'm going to give this a position. It's called position. If you click on this position, you're going to see absolute, fixed, absolute position, fixed, relative, static, sticky, a lot of things, but these are the major 5 that we have. And I'm going to say I want it to be fixed, but you see what will happen. You see that this thing now has been messed up, right? To be able to give that position that we want, you will give it a width. With the width will know, okay, what am I fixing to? Like how many what amount of width should I take to be able to get fixed, something like that. So in this case, we want it to take the entire width from point A to point B, just like we have here. Is a full width that we want you to take. So we're just going to add a property of width with the value of 100%, and then everything is back to normal. As you scroll, what do you notice? Is now fixed. It's no longer moving. It's no longer like going like anywhere, right? It's just there and it's okay. So I'm going to explain like other ones. Let me see if I can use this navbar to explain relative. If I give this relative position, change this to relative, and then I scroll, it's still scrolling. It's not doing anything. It's just like how it was when it had no position. So it once you write something, it automatically has just default position of relative, right? So here I'm going to have the next one we have is absolute.
Absolute.
This one is a bit tricky because it's it's hanging on top of this thing, like it's on top. You might not really notice it here. This the absolute position, just it leaves the web page and it hangs on top. Let me this would not be we will not be able to explain it using that. Let me create a container outside of this div. Let me take this thing out and then put this thing here. So I'm going to create a position to be able to explain position, and then I'm going to say box A. Let me just use it that way, and then box B. Alright, so box A and box B are inside of a container called position. So the only thing I'm going to do is just to simply give position dot position. I just want to use it to explain what we have today. I'm going to give it a border 3 pixels solid green. I'm going to give it a width of 50%. I'm going to give it a margin of 30 pixels also. I'm going to give it what else do I want to do? Okay, I'm going to give it a background color of green since I already gave it that. I'm going to give it a minimum height of 300 pixels. So if I go back, this is what I have right now, and I have two boxes inside of it. So I'm just going to take this and replicate it, change some things. I have two boxes inside this, so I'm going to have this is going to be box A. Box A. I'm going to give this blue. I'm going to give this a width of 100 pixels. So give this a width of 50% and give this a width of 50%. Here I'm going to give this a padding so that it does not hit the parent container. A padding of 10 pixels. And then get rid of this border because I don't need it. If I do this and I replicate this one, see, I'll go back here and I'll say box B, and then this is what I have, and I'll change this color to probably this, and that should be it. If we go back, do you see what we have now? These are the two things that we have. Let me get rid of this margins that we have here so that we'll be able to understand this thing. Okay, so this is what we have. If I give this purple a position of absolute, this purple is box A, and I say I want your position to be absolute, and for these things to work we have what we call, let me go back to this page, we have what we call the CSS the position CSS property. Okay, okay. This means my class is about to end. Let me end this and send another one. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Then that one will be for another extra 20 minutes and then we'll be done. Alright. Start by the maybe. Okay. Use that. Let me create another one. Google News and then okay, not this one, this is Google Meet and start meeting, start a meeting. Alright, so meeting. And the mother. So I go in my data, because we don't get it answer, and then alright, so this should be okay. Alright, you're welcome. Okay, so let's continue. Here we have, you will notice that this one has this the box B
So,
has
sorry,
disappeared.
I'm not seeing your screen now.
Okay. Oh, I always forget to share my screen. Okay. Entire screen and share. You can see it now, right? And then go over to what we have. You can see it now, right? And
Yes.
okay. So we have what we call position of absolute, but this works in relation to the parent container. Let me read out what we have here. It says that the element is removed from the normal document flow, which is basically from top to bottom, and no space is created for the elements in the page layout. Page layout is just basically this that you're seeing. This is just like the page layout, right? So for absolute positioning, the element is removed from the normal document flow and no space is created for the element in the page layout. The element is positioned relative to its closest positioned ancestor. This thing is a very big English. Let me explain. Closest positioned ancestor basically means the parent container that has a property of um position of relative. What am I even saying? That has a property of relative. So if you want this thing to be placed absolute to this container, which is the green container, you have to give this green container a property of relative, because if you don't, it will be placed relative to whichever close container that has a position of relative. Let me explain this by getting another container. Let me say I have another container here that carries this box A and box B, right? I want to give an example, and I say dot position child, for example, and then I put it this way. So in this case now, I'm going to go over, replicate this C, and then B, and then say dot position child, and give this a, get rid of this border because I don't see what this border is doing here, and then give this a background of okay, this color, and then let me remove this absolute for now. So this has a, this is supposed to have a position child. Is that not what I wrote there? Okay, no, I made a mistake in the spelling. Alright, so this is what we have now, right? And I'm going to give this box A and box B a width of a margin bottom. Okay, just the box A, margin bottom of 10 pixels, but I don't want them to be joining it themselves. Okay, this is what I have, right? This is the position, the one that is carrying it. This is the smaller child, and these are the two boxes. So imagine that this one now, this position is one that has a position of relative, and then I give this box a position of absolute, and I give it top 0. For positions to work, you work with properties like top, right, left, and bottom. Let me give this top of 0 pixels. Let me go and explain something here. They said position properties set how an element is positioned in the document. The top, right, bottom, and left property determine the final location of the element. So even if you give it a position of absolute, of fixed, or all of those things, it will automatically just still follow the normal route it follows, except for fixed. Fixed is a bit special, right? But if you don't give it stick top, right, left, and bottom, it will not really align very well. So if you notice now, it has aligned to this parent container, because this parent container is one that has a position of relative. Look at the position here. This has a position of relative. If I take this and I say X and I put it here inside of this one that is more like tail, did you notice anything? It's now lying on top of this one. This one did not get smaller. This pinkish one did not get smaller. This one is lying on top of it. That's what, did you get me? It's lying on top of it. So it's because it is absolute. It's lying 0% to this point. If I say I want you to be moved to the bottom, instead of giving it top, I'll say I want it to be 0% from the 0 pixels from the bottom. It's going to be 0, but this has a padding. It's going to be 0 pixels from the bottom. Let me see, does this have a padding? Child, okay, this has a padding. So if I get rid of this padding, okay, it has a margin bottom. No, that's why. So this one this stuff had a margin bottom. That's why it was not moving to the this thing exactly. So if you notice now, it's 0 pixels from the bottom. Let me say box A, I want you to move 30 pixels from the bottom. It will move 30 pixels away from the bottom. If you say 30 pixels from the top, it will start 30 pixels from the top. Do you understand?
Yes.
So are you guys clear on how absolute positioning works? You use the left and right to navigate it. Even though it's absolute, you have to tell it move to the right, move to the left, move to the center, move anywhere that you want. Right, left, bottom, and top. So I'm going to say here, I'm going to say I want it to be 0 pixels, and I want this one to be from the right, right of 0 pixels. Do you see? It has moved to the right and it's still 0 pixel from the bottom and right. So if I say left, it's going to fill this entire space. If I give it left without removing this right here, it's going to fill the entire space. So if I say left, 0 pixels. Okay. Okay, it's going to move. Okay. Okay, no, it's reading from top to bottom. So this right has been cancelled. So if I move this thing down here, it will take, it will move to the right. Abi?
Yes.
There's box A that I'm still working on. Let me get rid of this left. Okay, so it has moved to the right. If I get rid of this right, it will move to the left. Okay. All right. So it seems that left takes it's left is a bit stronger than right. So if it has both the left and the right properties, it would take,
Take left.
take the left. Let me see if okay. There's something I want to try and check out. Let me see. Top. Let me add the top and see if top 0 pixels. Okay, this was what I was trying to achieve. So for top, it will take, I gave it a top of 0 pixels and a bottom of 0 pixels. It covered the entire space and it has swallowed that the pink one that is there. So this thing is lying on top. It's actually not, like, it's not aligning inside of this, just on top of it. Now it's lying on top of every content that is inside of this tail colored one. Do you get me? So that's how, like,
Yes.
absolute this thing works. So we're going to get rid of these ones, and let me change this now to fixed, and I want it to be fixed at the bottom. Let me get rid of this. If I say fixed, this is now, it's fixed to, it's not fixed to this one, it's not fixed um to this container. Fixed usually works with the web, this thing itself, the web page itself. So this thing is fixed. Even if you move anyhow you want to move, still going to be fixed here. Do you get?
Yes.
So fix is mostly used when you want to leave something on the web page itself, the main page itself. This, like we said, the element is removed from the document flow and no space is created for the element in the page layout. The element is positioned relative to its initial containing block. The basic initial containing block is this one. The web page is the initial containing block. Do you get? That's, it's basically there. So you guys can read up this CSS positioning here. This website called this developer Mozilla, this website basically has positions, flex container. This one is flex. Let me look for CSS positions. So if you check out CSS positions, you're going to see these things. See CSS position. So in case you have problems or issues, you can just check them, and this is the website. So they are a lot more descriptive on how to use the things like that: static, relative, absolute, fixed, sticky. They'll explain those things, and then I think some of them come with examples. Here, look at an example here. If we play this, you'll see some of the things that they're trying to show. I won't go deep into it. If you have issues, just go and check it out yourself. But you can read it up and see what and what you can get from there. So that should be it. In our next class, we'll continue with this. So far, we've been able to achieve this. There is okay, this is not it. So far, we've been able to achieve CSS positioning because we are going to use that to build out this part. The reason why I talked about it is we are going to use it when we are building this thing. This thing is absolute to this container. So you can move ahead. Let me try out something like this so that you see how it works. Let me get rid of this fixed container now. Where is that fixed? Okay, position of fixed. Let me take it back to absolute. So this is what we now have, and then it has a bottom. But in this case, let me say that this I want it to be 30%. It's smaller, and I want it to have a top instead of bottom. Now let it have a top of 0 pixels. It starts from here, and then I'm going to give it right of 0 pixels. We're almost done. This is where it is. So you're going to wonder, what if I want it to lie above this one? What you're going to say is give it a minus, let me say minus 10 pixels. You see it has moved over. Minus is just like move over something. Not minus, like the negative sign there is saying I don't want you to start exactly here. I want you to start 10 pixels above it. No, above it. Minus, it depends. If you say for the bottom minus 10, it's going to go lower. Let me change this to bottom. It's going to go 10 pixels lower than the normal bottom. The normal is this 0 pixels. Below 0 pixels is -1, -2, -3. Same thing with top. This is 0 pixels. So if it's going higher than that, it will be -1, -2. Do you understand? Do you guys get me? So within this container are pluses, like +1 plus, but outside of the container is the minus side. Do you get? For this position and the absolute, this is like the best way I can explain it. So you guys can go ahead, watch videos, check out stuff, and see how it is used. So if I want to replicate something like this, I would go over and make this thing look a lot slimmer so that it will look like a mobile phone, and I'll give this a border radius of 10 pixels, and then this is how it looks like. It's a little bit curvy, and then I'll give it a width of 20 pixels. It's a lot slimmer now. Yes, and then I'll now say I want the top instead, the top to be -40%. So 40 pixels. You see it has gone up. So if you keep pushing it might go higher. But remember that there's another this thing carrying it here. So let me try and see if it will go higher. 120. Okay, you see it keeps going higher. Like it's lying on top. So there's nothing really restricting this now. The only thing that is giving it a little bit of restriction is this parent is moving 120 pixels away from the parent container that has relative. Do you get?
Yeah.
So it's telling it where do I start counting from? It starts counting from this parent, and it's going to go as far as possible because there's no restriction. It's just lying on top of whatever is on this page. So if you keep giving it whatever, it will still continue moving. So that's what we're going to use to do this in our next class. You can go ahead and try it out on your own and see if you can achieve this. This is basically things wrapped in a container, and then there are three boxes that have different colors, and then there are other smaller boxes that are absolute weight. So in our next class, this is what we're going to try to build down. And I think that when I'm done from here, you guys will be able to build the rest yourselves, because we've covered basically most of the things for this CSS class. Just something like this is also absolute. You have this, and then this is lying inside of it as well. So that's going to be it for this class. Let me know, like, get your data a lot more exhausted. So that should be it. Have a great day. Alright, bye then.